readiness to host a befitting forum in Abuja come 2026. He thanks his colleagues for the confidence reposed in Nigeria to host the next edition of the forum with a promise to surpass the high standards set by Morocco. The federal government of Nigeria has announced that the Akanu Ibiam International Airport in ENUGU will reopen for flight operations today, following the completion of emergency runway repairs. The Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAAN, Obiageli Ora, disclosed this in a statement on Saturday. According to Ora, the work was scheduled to begin on April 22nd and concluded before reopening on May 6th. She apologized for the inconvenience but assures the public that all actions were taken in the interest of safety. On April 18th, FAAN announced the closure of the airport for repairs due to a sudden and significant rupture in the asphalt surface at a critical section of the runway. The federal government has raised alarm over the growing threat of cyber slavery in West Africa. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, disclosed this in a statement issued by the ministry spokesperson, Kemibi Ebiemfa. Tugar expressed concern over the alarming rise in cases of cyber slavery across parts of Africa, which he said primarily targets Nigerian citizens, especially vulnerable youths. According to him, many young Nigerians, including underage teenagers, are being lured out of the country with false promises of lucrative employment opportunities abroad, particularly in crypto-related operations. He cited a recent incident where the Economic and Organized Crime Office in Accra, Ghana, rescued and detained a group of Nigerians who were forced into cybercrime activities under inhumane conditions. Tugar warned Nigerians, especially youths and parents, to exercise utmost caution when presented with job offers, particularly those that promise easy money, overseas travel, or remote work involving cryptocurrencies. He advised Nigerians to verify all employment offers through official channels and to report any suspicion or suspicious cases to the relevant authorities for prompt investigation and action. Tugar says the ministry committed to protecting Nigerian citizens both at home and abroad and raising awareness about emerging threats to welfare and dignity. Over 50 communities across 25 council wards and 5 local government areas, LGAs, in Benue State have been displaced by armed herdsmen. The Benue State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, reveals that the worst hit area is West's local government area, where all 15 council wards have been affected at some point. A report was released by SEMA just days before the latest attacks in the Ukum, Logo, Otukbo, and Gwe East local government areas. The report further shows that at least 2 communities in Mbalaga and 1 in Ba council wards in Makurdi, the state's capital, have also fallen to the attackers. The devastating impact of these attacks has been echoed by a retired controller of prisons and leader of the 3 socio-cultural groups in Benue State, Lobi Iga, who is from Moon and Moon Ward in Kwande local government area, expressed that the entire community had been abandoned for years due to ongoing attacks. Many residents displaced from their homes are currently taking refuge in 13 official internally displaced persons IDP camps across the state, while others are staying with relatives. The chairman of Agatu local government area of Benue State, James Melvin Eje, has issued a 48-hour ultimatum to Fulani headsmen to vacate all the farmlands. This was issued by Eje during a stakeholders meeting at the council secretariat in Obagaji. The meeting brought together traditional Furules, Fulani community leaders, youth representatives, and security officials to address growing concerns over headers, activities, and farmlands as the planting season approaches. The Chief Press Secretary to the Agatu local government area, Chairman Obochi Solomon, quoted Eje as emphasizing the need to protect farm activities in Agatu ahead of the critical planting season. Eje, according to the statement, commended the relative peace recently enjoyed in the area, but stressed that ensuring uninterrupted farming activities was a top priority. The statement further revealed that during the meeting, the Ado of the Fulani requested a 1-week grace period to enable the headers to prepare for relocation, a request that was granted by the council. He applauded the council chairman's leadership and urged all parties to honor the agreements. Up ahead, NDIC begins payments to Heritage Bank depositors. NDLEA intercepts Saudi-bound cocaine, arrests 3 Ghanaian ladies for trafficking. Do stay with us.
Signaturetv, news in your pocket.
The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation (NDIC) has started payments of 46.6 billion naira in liquidation dividends to depositors of the defunct Heritage Bank. This is contained in a statement on Sunday by the acting head, Communications and Public Affairs, Hawao Gambo. She said that the funds were realized from sales of the bank's assets and recovery of debts owed. Gambo explained that the liquidation dividend is paid to depositors of a closed bank beyond the maximum insured limit, using proceeds from asset sales and debt recovery. She added that liquidation dividends may also cover payments to creditors and shareholders once all depositors have been fully reimbursed. According to Gambo, the initial dividend is paid at 9.2 kobo per naira on a pro rata basis to depositors with balances above 5 million naira. She noted that further payments would be made as more assets of the defunct bank are realized and outstanding debts recovered. Following the revocation of Heritage Bank's license by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) on June 3, 2024, NDIC immediately reimbursed insured deposits up to 5 million naira. To ensure a seamless process, NDIC used depositors' bank verification numbers (BVN) to locate alternate accounts and automatically credit the insured amounts. The corporation also used existing records from insured payments to disburse their first tranche of liquidation dividends. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has intercepted a shipment of 46 wraps of cocaine weighing 547 grams hidden in body cream going to Saudi Arabia. This is contained in a statement by the NDLEA Director, Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi on Abuja. Babafemi said that the intervention came barely a week after NDLEA officers of the Directorate of Operations and General Investigation uncovered 20 parcels of cocaine. These, he said, were concealed inside religious books going to Saudi Arabia at a logistics company in Lagos. Meanwhile, at the same border area of Badagry, Lagos, 3 Ghanaian ladies were on Sunday arrested at the Igbaji checkpoints by the NDLEA operators. Babafemi said that they were arrested while attempting to smuggle a combined 4.8 kilograms of Ghana loud, a strong strain of cannabis, into Nigeria. In another development, Kano, a 60-year-old grandma, Safia Shamsu, was nabbed at the Shamegu area of Kumbotso local government area with 5.6 kilograms of skunk, a strain of cannabis. Babafemi said that another suspect, Montari Labaran, 35, was taken into custody following the seizure of 100 liters of codeine syrup from him at the Yelwa area of Dala local government area. Similarly, the law enforcement agency raided an 80-room new hotel used as cover for distributing illicit substances in Victoria Island, Lagos, and recovered 598 bags of Canadian loud. The agency spokesperson Femi Babafemi said that the drugs recovered weighed 417.3 kilograms, worth 1.04 billion naira in street value. Babafemi said that 3 suspects, Eze Ayitu, Ofoku Samuel, and Emmanuel Ame, were arrested in the course of the operation at the 5-story hotel building between Friday and Saturday. He said that 2 other suspects, Noble Philip and his partner Kenneth, were currently at large. The government of Zamfara State is set to start the administration of measles, rubella vaccine across the state by October 2025. The Zamfara State governor's wife, Hajiya Huriwa Lawal, spoke while flagging off the sensitization campaign for the vaccination drive in Gusau. Lawal said the new vaccine was designed to prevent measles and rubella among children between 9 months and 15 years. According to her, the first phase, the vaccines will be administered to children of ages 9 to 15 years, and the subsequent immunization will cover children from 9 months to 5 years of age. She thanked development partners for their kind support in addressing all health challenges affecting children and the state. In his remarks, a pediatric consultant with the Department of Pediatrics, Federal Medical Center, Gusau, Dr. Ibrahim Hano, described measles and rubella as killer diseases among children. According to him, measles and rubella cause blindness, glaucoma, brain disorder, and heart diseases among children if not immunized. He said effective sensitization of public training of health personnel, educating parents during clinical services, as well as providing effective nutrition to children were required. The Bauchi State Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board, in collaboration with the state's primary healthcare development agency, has disclosed arrangements to commence polio vaccinations for intending pilgrims on Monday. Disclosing the development during a press briefing in his office on Saturday, the board's executive secretary, Abdulrahman Ibrahim, explained that the vaccination will be administered at every local government primary healthcare agency in the state starting at 10 a.m. He emphasized that the board will ensure every intending pilgrim receives the vaccine before departing for Saudi Arabia. According to him, the Saudi Arabian Ministry of Hajj Affairs has made it mandatory for all pilgrims to receive the polio vaccine before entering the Holy Land. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET has predicted thunderstorms and haziness across Nigeria from Sunday to Tuesday. In its weather outlook released on Saturday in Abuja, NIMET forecasted moderate dust haze over Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara, Borno, Kano, Yobe, and Jigawa states. It also predicted isolated thunderstorms in parts of Adamawa and Taraba states throughout the forecast period. In the south, NIMET predicted morning thunderstorms in Bayelsa, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, and Edo State, with thunderstorms expected later in the day over several southern states. On Tuesday, NIMET forecasted sunny skies with patches of clouds in the north, with morning thunderstorms in parts of Adamawa and Taraba states. NIMET urged the public to take adequate precautions as strong winds might precede the rains in areas with expected thunderstorms. It also advised people in the north to be cautious as dust particles could be suspended in the air. Still to come, Canada's Conservative Party leader Paul Lever honors victims of Vancouver Street Festival attack. British Columbia Premier vows solidarity with Filipino community. Do stay with us.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was...
Why the main market is in chaos? People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken it through by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Dozens of cardinals on Sunday afternoon journeyed across Rome to visit the Basilica of St. Mary Major, where Pope Francis chose to be buried in a break from tradition. No pope had been laid to rest outside the Vatican in more than a century, but Francis opted instead for burial in Santa Maria Maggiore, St. Mary's Major, located in the Italian capital's most multicultural neighborhood. Upon arriving at the Basilica, the cardinals walked through the Holy Door, which was opened at the start of the year to mark the start of the Jubilee year 2025, and took turns to pray at the Pope's tomb. Following Francis' funeral ceremonies, attention now switches to who might succeed him. The Signaturetv conclave is unlikely to begin before May 6th and might not start for several days after that, giving cardinals time to hold regular meetings beforehand to sum each other up and assess the state of the church beset by financial problems and ideological divisions. The U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has said that the President Donald Trump intends to use both carrots and sticks to push forward negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Waltz made the comments after Trump rebuked Russian President Vladimir Putin over recent attacks on Ukraine.
To use both carrots and sticks to get both sides to the table in direct talks talking about those items that we
Yes.
discussed to drive this to a permanent end with European-led security architecture.
Let me move on because we've got a lot.
And President Trump is determined to use diplomacy to bring this war to an end, to talk to both sides. And just in 100 days, we've had multiple rounds led by Secretary of State Rubio, by Ambassador Steve Witkoff in Saudi Arabia, and now in the Vatican. And it was just truly special to stand there with other world leaders looking on as the President Trump led the way.
Do you believe that Zelensky understands he's likely not going to get more land back?
Well, there's been a number of discussions of territory, of what they need to make sure that this war never continues, that it is permanent. We've talked to our European partners, who you saw the images of both Starmer from the United Kingdom and Macron from France, that Europe has to step up. I know that you have Ambassador Whitaker, our new NATO ambassador, who's fantastic, coming on talking about how the Europeans need to take the lead in the future. Yeah. All of those things are key parts of the discussion with both Zelensky and with Putin. And next is to drive both sides to the table, but they both have to want it. And the president has expressed his frustrations in whether both sides genuinely want to end this war.
Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who were both in Rome for the funeral of Pope Francis, met in Vatican Basilica on Saturday to try to revive faltering efforts to end Russia's war in Ukraine. The meeting was the first between the two leaders since an angry encounter in the Oval Office in Washington in February, and comes at a critical time in negotiations aimed at bringing an end to the conflict. Greenland and Denmark has agreed to strengthen their ties in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's interest in taking control of the strategically located Arctic island, both leaders said after talks in Copenhagen. Greenland's new Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen landed in Danish capital on Saturday for a 3-day visit in a display of unity between the mineral-rich island and the semi-autonomous Danish territory and Denmark. Nielsen's visit follows months of tension over Trump's repeated declaration that Greenland should become part of the United States. The leaders of Denmark and Greenland have said only Greenlanders can decide the territory's future. However, they have found themselves treating a delicate line between firmly dismissing U.S. ambitions of annexing Greenland while also trying to maintain good ties with their traditional ally. It said an ongoing expansion of the U.S. consulate in ENUGU, Greenland's capital, which was agreed before Trump took office, was causing anxiety among people of Greenland. Frederiksen said Denmark was ready to invest more in Greenland and to support Greenland financially as it takes over more responsibility of domestic affairs from Copenhagen as part of what she called a modernization of their relationship. Denmark has called for increased Arctic defense collaboration with the United States, and both Nielsen and Frederiksen said they were committed to strengthening defense in the region. Meanwhile, Denmark's King Frederik will travel to Greenland on Monday in a further show of solidarity.
Well, we are in a situation now where we need to stand together. The talks from the United States have not been respectful, and it have been based on, or the words used have not been respectful, and that's why we need to, in this situation, stand together. And in Greenland, we are willing to do that with all the countries that wants us good and wants to respect us and wants to have a partnership with mutual respect, and that's how it's going to be.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that he had interactions with his Chinese counterpart last week during International Monetary Fund meetings in Washington, but did not discuss the standoff over President Donald Trump's tariffs. There have been conflicting signals over the U.S.-China trade war, with Trump saying talks are taking place and China denying any have occurred. Bessent, who said last week that tariffs negotiations with Beijing would be a slog, did not give a timetable for any potential agreements with China. He said that a trade deal can take months, but a de-escalation and an agreement in principle can be achieved sooner and would keep tariffs from ratcheting back to the maximum level.
This was IMF World Bank Week, the NDC, as you know, and I had interaction with my Chinese counterparts, but it was more on the traditional things like financial stability, global economic early warnings. I don't know if President Trump has spoken with President Xi. I know they have a very good relationship and a lot of respect for each other. And again, I just believe these Chinese tariffs are unsustainable.
Okay, according to Bloomberg, you said...
Because of the Chinese business. Well, look, I think that there is a path here. So the first path will be, again, a de-escalation, which I think the Chinese are going to have. Then I think there can be an agreement. In principle, these 17 or 18 important trade deals that we're negotiating, the actual papering of the trade deal, a trade deal can take months, but an agreement in principle and the good behavior and staying within the parameter of the deal by our trading partners can keep the tariffs from ratcheting back to the maximum level, sure.
Trump's erratic and often confusing rollout of tariffs has hit countries ranging from the largest U.S. trading partners like Canada, Mexico, and China. The result has been almost unprecedented market volatility and serious damage to investor trust in U.S. assets. At least 11 people were killed and dozens injured when a man with a history of mental health issues rammed an SUV through a crowd at the Filipino Community Festival in the western Canadian city of Vancouver. Police says on Sunday. Police arrested a 30-year-old Vancouver man at the scene of the incident on Saturday, April 26th evening, describing him as having had a significant history of interactions with authorities involving mental health. They said there was no evidence of terrorism.
There are now 11 confirmed fatalities. We believe dozens more are injured, some seriously, and the number of dead could rise in the coming days or weeks. The most critically injured were transported by ambulance to 9 different hospitals throughout Metro Vancouver. The driver of the vehicle was the lone occupant, and he was arrested at the crime scene by members of the Vancouver Police Department after bystanders and witnesses intervened to detain him. He remains in custody. While I'm not prepared to speak about the potential motive, I can now say with confidence that the evidence in this case does not lead us to believe this was an act of terrorism. I can also tell you that the person we have in custody does have a significant history of interactions with police and healthcare professionals related to mental health.
Can you tell us about the victims, their ages, their genders, whether their families have been notified?
So what I can tell you, mixed genders, male, female, and young people. I can't get into ages and that, but it's just a tragedy all around for many families.
We heard reports of an infant, a baby among the dead. Can you confirm that?
They were young people.
And the Filipino community suffered its darkest day here in the city of Vancouver. And I've spent the morning speaking with families and community leaders. Let me just tell you, their strength, even through this unimaginable pain, exemplifies Vancouver's resiliency. Like all of you, I'm completely heartbroken. I'm shocked, and I'm angry. What happened at the Lapu Lapu Festival last night was unthinkable. Families gathered to celebrate, to dance, to share their culture and their pride. And in an instant, their world was shattered. To the Filipino community and the family members of the victims, we see you, we love you, and we grieve with you. Now, I do want to take this opportunity to lay out some facts about the incident. Here's what I can confirm at this time. Number one, the suspect has been arrested and is currently in VPD custody. Secondly, evidence points to this not being an act of terrorism.
The attack on Saturday evening took place 2 days before Canada's federal election on Monday. More than 12 hours after the incident, police still did not have a motive for the attack at the festival, which took place without a dedicated police presence or heavy vehicle barriers. The suspect was initially chased down and held by festival goers until police arrived, witnesses said. The injured were taken to hospital or multiple hospitals, police says.
The individual in question has a significant history of mental health issues. And fourthly, he is known to police for a multitude of mental health interactions. Now, it would appear that mental health appears to be the underlying issue here.
Last night, as members of Vancouver's Filipino community gathered for a celebration of community and culture in East Vancouver, their collective safety and security were stolen when a man in a vehicle drove through a festival crowd and struck dozens of people. 11 people have now died. Their ages range from 5 to 65. Dozens more are injured, some critically, and some have not yet been identified. While there are many details I cannot share at this point, I am able to say that the person we have in custody does have a significant history of interactions with police related to mental health. I can also say with confidence that we do not believe this was an act of terrorism, nor do we believe there are any ongoing threats to our community. More than 100 police officers, Vancouver police officers, are currently working on this case, and we will continue to dedicate every available resource at our disposal to complete this investigation and to provide the answers everybody wants.
Meanwhile, Eyewitness has described moments a man drove into a Vancouver festival as tragic. Resident Joshua Polintan said the driver pushed the gas all the way through the whole block, crashing into everyone in this way.
Right there, some car, some Audi, black Audi, he just like stopped or whatever. I don't know, but from over there, from like the start right there, he just pushed the gas all the way through the whole block right there, crashing into like everyone in his way. I heard like a bunch of like crashing and stuff. Then I walked down like not even like half the block. I just saw like a bunch of bodies and everything, and I just went back. I don't know, I'm just like, I'm mad at whoever did that, because like why would he do that? Like, it's like a Filipino festival, like it feels kind of targeted, but like I don't know, like I heard the dude was drunk. I don't know if he was like, if it was like a hate crime or if he was just drunk, but yeah, still like just wrong.
Canada's Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre paid tribute to the victims of an incident at the Filipino Community Festival, where at least 9 people were killed when a man drove through a crowd. Carney said an investigation had begun into how and why the attack took place, adding that authorities believe the man acted alone.
Everyone, just wanted to be here today with you in solidarity after the terrible attacks that we witnessed in British Columbia. I know many of you are shocked, heartbroken, and saddened by this senseless act of violence and by the innocent and treasured lives that have been lost. And Anna and I just wanted you all to know that our hearts are with you today. All Canadians are united in solidarity with the Filipino community. All Canadians are united with you in mourning the loss of these treasured lives and in binding our country together to support the surviving loved ones.
Sunday was the final day of a 5-week campaign for Carney and his rival Pierre Poilievre to make their pitches to voters ahead of an election on Monday that has centered largely on U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs and threats to annex Canada. it was unknown if the mass casualty events in Vancouver would have any impact on the elections. Also, British Columbia Premier David Eby paid tributes to the victims of a car ramming attack at Filipino Community Festival. The identities of the victims have not yet been released. More than 100 police officers joined the investigation as local officials worked with provincial and federal authorities to provide support services. Police warned that the death toll could rise in coming days and weeks. Eby said the attack would not stop residents in Vancouver from gathering together to celebrate events, but vowed to work with police to ensure enhanced safety measures in the future.
It's hard for me. I have just such a sick feeling. It was about 24 hours ago, just a few blocks from here. I was here with my daughter on stage with Maple and the organizers, celebrating a community in this province that does nothing but give, has nothing but love. I don't think there's a British Columbian that hasn't been touched in some way by the Filipino community. You can't go to a place that delivers care in our province and not meet a member of that community. This is a community that is suffering right now. We're going to put our arms around them as all British Columbians. We're going to stand with them. We're going to support them just like they support us every single day in this province. It's their turn. It's their turn to get care from us. And it's hard for me, and I know for many people in this moment, not to feel like friends of ours who we love, who've been attacked in this way, not to feel rage. The man who did this, who murdered innocent people, who destroyed a community celebration, and we don't know all the answers yet. We don't know why. But I want to turn the rage that I feel into ensuring that we stand with the Filipino community, that we deliver what they need, that we stand with those families who have lost loved ones, those who have been injured, that we are not defined by this. This event does not define us and the Filipino community or that celebration that I know it's hard to believe it in this moment, but I know we will come back strong.
Russian investigators have filed terrorism charges against a Ukrainian citizen suspected of killing a senior Russian military officer near Moscow, Interfax news agency reported on Sunday. The Kremlin has blamed Kyiv for Friday's car bomb and killed 59-year-old Yaroslav Moskalik, the latest in the series of Russian military officers and pro-war figures to be assassinated since the start of a war in Ukraine. Interfax, citing Russia's investigative committee, said the suspect, Ignat Kuzin, had pleaded guilty to killing Moskalik and had seen, as I said, he was recruited by Ukraine's security services. The investigative committee said Russian authorities were trying to identify others who might have been involved in the killing of Moskalik. Russian war bloggers described Moskalik as a rising star. He had participated in several high-level Russian delegations that have met Western officials to try to negotiate a settlement to the conflict in Ukraine. He also dealt with Syria, presented a report on military technical cooperation in Africa and the Middle East at a security forum in Moscow in 2021. A new ceasefire in Gaza had made some progress, but an agreement between Israel and Hamas to end the war remains elusive. Mossad Director David Moder traveled to Doha on Thursday to meet Sheikh Mohammed Hamid. Efforts to reach a new ceasefire in Gaza, Axios reported last week. Sheikh Mohammed didn't say which elements of the ceasefire talks had progressed in recent days, but said Hamas and Israel remained at odds over the ultimate goal of negotiations. He said the militant group is willing to return all remaining Israeli hostages if Israel ends the war in Gaza, but Israel wants Hamas to release the remaining hostages without offering a clear vision on ending the war. Fidan said Turkish officials had held with Hamas has shown the group would be more open to an agreement that goes beyond a ceasefire in Gaza and aims for a lasting solution to the crisis with Israel, including a two-state solution.
have noticed on Thursday is a bit of progress compared to the other meetings, yet we need to find an answer for the ultimate question, how to end this war. That's basically, I think, the key point of the entire negotiations.
Head of Mossad, I wonder if you can confirm those and tell us what the outcome of those may have been.
Hamas are ready to give all the hostages back in exchange of number of prisoners, but with conditions that probably Israel not accepting, and Israel focusing on the hostages without a clear end for the war. So when you don't have like the common objective, a common goal between the parties, I believe the opportunities become very thin. But we are trying to push, and do our best.
In sports, Remo Stars have emerged champions of the 2024-25 Nigerian Premier Football League NPFL season. Daniel Ogumbodede's sides claimed their maiden NPFL title following a 1-0 victory over Niger Tornadoes at the Remo Star Stadium in Kene on Sunday. Also, Olamilekun Adedayo scored the decisive goal 6 minutes from time. Remo Stars made history at the first privately owned club to win the title race since Udoji United achieved the feat in 1996. It is also the first time a Southwest club has claimed the title since the now defunct Julius Berger won it 2 decades ago. The Kenya-based club sit atop the standings with 68 points from 35 matches. Second place Rivers United have accumulated 58 points from the same number of games. Liverpool roared back from a goal behind to thrash Tottenham Hotspur 5-1 and wrap up the Premier League title in style on a momentous day at Anfield on Sunday, needing only a point to ensure a record equaling 20th English title with 4 games remaining. Liverpool were rocked in the 12th minute as Dominic Solanke headed Tottenham in front. But the title party was only temporarily silenced as Liverpool struck back with Luis Diaz tapping in Alexis McAllister thunderbolt and a Cody Gakpo shot before halftime. A one-sided second half saw Mohamed Salah end a 6-match scoring drought by firing a low short pass Guillermo Vicario in the 63rd minute, celebrating his 28th league goal of an outstanding season while snapping a selfie with a fan. Tottenham's Destiny Udoji then bundled in an own goal to complete a miserable afternoon for the visitors, who have lost 19 Premier League games this season. Moments after the final whistle sounded to confirm Liverpool as Premier League champions in a remarkable debut season for manager Arne Slot, the Dutchman paid tribute to the man who helped pave the way for his success at the Merseyside club. Slot's post-match salutes to the delirious Liverpool fans at the Anfield involved, leading them in a song about the club's beloved former manager, Jurgen Klopp. After his emotional final game with Liverpool last season, Klopp, who won 7 major trophies in his 9 years on Merseyside, had encouraged the Anfield faithful to sing the same song set to the tune of an Austrian band Opus's Live in Life about the incoming Slot. Slot becomes the 5th manager to win a Premier League title in his first season in England and first Dutch boss to win one. The enormity of the accomplishments, he said, might take a while to sink in.
Very, very happy, of course, but to a certain extent also quite unreal, because you've worked so hard for this moment to happen, and when it then does happen, it needs some time for you to truly feel it. But the fans were so happy that it didn't took me long to understand what we've achieved together this season. The only moment I was emotional today was when we arrived at the stadium, to see what it meant for the fans, what it meant for these people. For us to have a chance of winning it felt really special, but immediately it also felt like, we still have to do it. But I think everybody who was inside that bus felt if the fans are with us like they are, then it's impossible for us to lose this game of football. Yeah, and then during the game, after the game, it's been incredible how the support of the fans were and how our players played, and special to be part of this day. He was probably longer in his job than I was. He knew the club even better than I know it at the moment. But what I noticed from the first day I came in, that winning the league would be the most special trophy we could win. And yeah, I think I felt that throughout the whole season, although we were all very disappointed when we were knocked out by Paris Saint-Germain. But we always felt there was a bigger goal to achieve. And to do that in the most difficult league in the world is in a period of...
I'm Charles Pies. Join me in another 5 minutes for the morning show.